Welcome back to Relationship Mastery, and in this final lesson of week 1, you are going to learn the characteristics of a husband. I'm going to explain to you why there are certain traits, habits, values, and behaviors that make a man a safe and suitable bet for a woman to commit to and marry. In other words, husband material. And then I'm going to break down the actual blueprint. Which are the specific qualities that make you a husband, so that you can plan and prepare ahead of time, self-audit and assess yourself, so that you can begin to embody these traits, these characteristics, by developing a new mindset and values, so that you are ready, so that when you meet a woman that is suitable for you, a woman that is wife material, she'll recognize in you that you are going to be a very good husband. And this is the blueprint that you need to master. Now, I will add this here at the beginning of the video. This is a new lesson that I've added to Relationship Mastery at the end of week 1. So for my new clients that have just signed up, continue on as normal. For you, this is just the next lesson in the course. But for the clients that are already in Relationship Mastery, as you know, the last lesson in week 1 was always the duty of a husband and father. This is going to be the next lesson that's added at the end here. Okay? And even for those that are in the Relearning Relationships community and you get free access to week 1, this will be added there as well for you within context. And as well, a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about here is going to correlate to what makes a woman wife material from the Proverbs 31 section in week 5 of the course. And it has a very cool parallel. You're going to see how a lot of these traits overlap, except the ones that do differentiate masculinity to femininity. So there's a lot of cool stuff here that you're going to learn. So with that said, let's get right into it. So let's start with a Bible verse that encompasses a man being a husband. Proverbs 20 verse 6 states, "Most men will proclaim every one his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find?" I find this very interesting. There's a lot of men out there that will claim that they're good, that they're this, that they're that, but your results show something else, and your actions tell you something else. A faithful man who can find. Apparently so, it's quite rare to find good, honourable men nowadays. But honourable men, godly men, must be educated, they must be built, and they must be taught when they are young. They must have their values reshaped, and they must be equipped with the correct emotional and spiritual knowledge so that they can be honourable, righteous men. This doesn't just happen out of thin air. And there's a reason for this. When you look around, you see men in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and they have a string of failed relationships, failed marriages, and they're getting with the wrong woman because they are the wrong man. No one prepared them to be a husband and a father. 50 years ago, 100 years ago, most men and women were taught basic principles of husbandship and fatherhood, and women were taught about wifehood and motherhood. So they were prepared for their roles, which made it easier for them to find someone, vet them, and treat them right. And this knowledge has slowly been lost in the last 30, 40 years since the sexual revolution of the 60s, and feminism, cultural Marxism has done a number on the Western world, and it's turned men and women against each other, and it's stripped them away from God's blueprint for men and women, which is marriage. And how are you going to find a woman that's wife material if you're not even husband material to begin with? These are the questions that I want you to ask yourself, because this is going to be a long, in-depth video, but there's so much wisdom here that is going to help you prepare for your role, which is ultimately, if you want to find a wife and have children, that's wonderful. You want to have a wife, you want to have a family, but do you want to be a husband? Do you want to be a father? It starts with you. There's a reason why part 1, week 1 of the course it starts with you. Okay, so why are the characteristics of a husband essential for marriage? Characteristics of a husband are essential because marriage is a sacred union created by God as a perfect bond between man and woman. And it's crucial for men to approach it with the right mindset and preparation. Without these, the relationship is doomed to fail, leading to stress, distrust, and ultimately harm to both the man and the woman. And if you do get married, then their future children will be at stake. Many men lack proper knowledge about relationships and marriage, which makes them susceptible to entering into dysfunctional relationships. However, when a man understands and embraces his role as a husband according to God's design, he sets himself up for a thriving marriage. It's with anything in life, you have to plan and prepare beforehand. If you've never driven a car before and you've never had a driving lesson, and you just hop into a car and someone puts you on the highway, you are going to crash, probably kill someone and die along the way. And if not, at the very least, you're going to be seriously injured and fined. How does that happen? Because you don't know how to drive and you're thrown into a highway. If you like the idea of finding yourself a good quality woman, a godly woman, being married and having a family, but you have a knowledge gap, you have been fed the wrong information about love, commitment, dating, relationships and marriage, there's a very high risk that if you find a woman, she's most likely going to be incompatible, uninterested or immoral because you don't know how to vet. And on the off chance that you do get lucky with a good woman, you are going to push her away, mistreat her, or make a lot of mistakes, which you can fix and turn around and prevent, but you're probably going to push her away. And this is what happens to most men and even women that have their knowledge gaps too on their end. It's the same thing. You can't just fly into a relationship or just rush to get married to a woman you don't know and then think, you know what, now that we're married, we have a mortgage and the baby's on the way, now I can prepare to be a husband. It doesn't work that way. You're a husband before you find her. The Bible says in Proverbs 18:22, who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from God. It doesn't say he who builds a wife, he who makes a wife or fixes a wife, he who finds her. How are you going to find a wife if you yourself aren't even husband material? You're not even going to recognize the qualities of a good woman. And on the off chance that you do late into a relationship or marriage, it might be too late if you're not treating her right. So preparing you ahead of time is my goal. And the first 10 parts of this course, the first 10 weeks of relationship mastery, is all about filling in your knowledge gap, preparing you for vetting a woman, for being the right man, for making sure she's the right woman, having a proper understanding. And then when you get to from week 10, 11 and 12 is you actually courting, romancing, leading her well, all the way through to a relationship and marriage. But the first 10 parts of this course, it's strictly done before you even start getting to know a woman. Once I've filled in your knowledge gap to the right point, then you can begin taking action to go and find a woman. And then it's about keeping her in your life, right? Weeks 11 and 12 is all about keeping the right woman so that you don't push her away. But before that crucial point of you even keeping her and then finding her, you have to first become husband material to even value all this stuff. And in the previous lesson, we did cover the roles and responsibilities of husbandship and fatherhood, which gives you some insight into what you should expect of your duties moving forward. But I'm giving you a blueprint here which goes into more depth. So the key to a successful marriage is ensuring that both the man and the woman are mutually attracted to each other and share the same values. Chemistry and compatibility must be present in their connection. And this is covered in depth in week 8 of the course. If a man neglects his spiritual and emotional preparation, he risks choosing a woman based on insecurity, lust, or convenience, leading to a relationship filled with conflict, regret, and failure. Failure to properly vet a woman during courtship due to a knowledge gap or sin will lead to disastrous consequences. Which is why throughout the course you will learn how to avoid the wrong women from the get-go. And a wise man knows that finding the right woman requires him to first be the right man. One who is prepared, mature, and capable of fulfilling his responsibilities and roles as a husband and father. Developing these qualities of a husband material is essential, not only for avoiding future regrets, but for building a marriage that reflects God's purpose and brings joy and stability to both you and your future wife. But sadly, most men have a knowledge gap regarding relationships and marriage as a whole, which is why they are misled into thinking that marriage is risky and marriage is dangerous. If you look outside and see the divorce rate, or see how many people are married to each other and they settled and they hate each other's guts, but they married each other anyway. You see that and you think, oh, I don't want to get involved. I would hate for that to be me. But that's only true if you have not been taught or prepared to be a husband. Because if you had your values sharpened to what is right, what is true, what is moral, what is good and pure, the way you see women would change. You would have so much love and respect. You would only tunnel vision on finding yourself a godly woman. And you'd live a much better life. Which is why you've joined Relationship Mastery, because this is what you are going to do and master. For some of you, it might be more work. If you have more wounds, if you have deeper roots of insecurities and even incorrect information that you have to unlearn, you have a lot more to relearn and fill in, but you will get there eventually if you stick to this. So marriage should never be something risky. It shouldn't be a gamble. It shouldn't be dangerous. It should be the most crystal clear decision that you make. You should have a 100% certainty and assurance. I trust this woman with my life. I'm going to commit to her. I'm going to marry her. Some of you don't even trust yourself that much. So this is why we got to start with you and make sure you are that man and you have that assurance that any woman that comes into contact with me, if the chemistry is there, our attraction, and we have the same values, she's going to see that I'm husband material, and I know I'm going to be a good man to her. When you reach that level of assurance and that self-reliance and confidence in your ability and your newfound knowledge, that is when you're ready to be a husband. And that is the mindset I want you to develop. But I have to fill in your knowledge gap on this blueprint of what it means to be a husband so that you can begin to process this. Think on it. Self-audit your life. Am I showing up this way? If I was a woman and I met me, would I date me? Would I want to marry me? Would I trust me? Because you need to start thinking about it like that, to that level of intensity. Because a good woman needs to know, do I have 100% assurance that if I marry him, he's going to treat me right? Would you want your daughter to marry a man like you? Would you want your future son to become a man like you? If the answer is no, then you have a lot of work to do. And by filling in your knowledge gap here and you have a blueprint of how to be and how to live, it becomes you. And once it does, it'll be much easier for you to find a woman that's wife material. And then you pass on the wisdom to your children. And that's it. So, if you do not know how to discern if a woman is suitable for marriage, you could end up with an immoral, uninterested, or so she settles for you, doesn't find you attractive, or an incompatible spouse, doesn't have the same values, right? And we will get to the characteristics of a wife in week 5. But before searching for a wife, you must assess whether you are presentable as a husband or not, and why it's important to do so in accordance with God's blueprint in mind. This not only eliminates doubt about the sanctity of your future marriage, but guarantees that it'll flourish. Because God's ways are perfect, and they're designed to protect us from evil, from harm. And not knowing what makes a woman wife material means you are setting yourself up for failure. But how can you vet her righteously if you do not display the characteristics of a husband in the first place? We've all heard the term husband material and even wife material, but yet few men understand what this means. Husband material is the habits, traits, qualities, values, and behavior that can be summed up in a pattern recognition that makes a man the right choice for a woman to marry. And that is what I want you to become. The quality of man that a woman would look at once she has just some conversation with you, she's already consents. There's something different about this guy. He's way more confident than the other guys, but it's not fake, it's genuine. There's something drawing me to him. I feel safe with this man. Wow, I need to get to know him. I feel lucky to have him. That's what you want. When a woman marries the wrong man, she is taking a risk that can ruin her life. And if you do not take this seriously now, you will find yourself taking it seriously later on with a whole string of regret, problems and pain that will remind you of how good women want nothing to do with you. Because it is only harder to find a good woman if you are not a good man. Let that sink in. So you must develop these characteristics of a husband and continue to fill in your knowledge gap with the remainder of the information in relationship mastery. Then you can proceed with taking on the task of finding, courting and marrying the right woman for you. So in a nutshell, that is an introduction. This is why being a husband is essential. It's do or die. Now we get into the good stuff. What are the actual characteristics of a husband? First things first. For you to get an idea of this blueprint, there isn't a single Bible verse that gives you an objective blueprint for what a husband is. In fact, the characteristics of a husband are actually spread out through scripture, through multiple examples, teachings and lessons. So I've synthesized all of this into qualities and attributes using different verses so that you can self-assess your current habits and values, so that you can discern what must be removed, changed, or maintained. You might already be doing some of these things correctly. But in doing so, you sharpen that axe prior to ever finding a godly woman so that you can be presentable to her as a man who would make a godly husband for her. Abraham Lincoln, one of the presidents of the US a long time ago, he said if he had 6 hours to chop down a tree, he'd spent the first 5 hours sharpening the axe. That is why I mentioned that. You prepare, you practice, you plan, you get the repetition in, and then you just execute on one swing. When you look at the most successful people in the world, top performing athletes, the top performing business owners, the men who have the most successful loving marriages, the happiest men and women, they do things based on principles. And with those principles, there's a foundation that with certain habits and values that they have repeated and implemented into their lifestyle on a daily basis consistently. And they consistently work on them. It's doing the little thing right every day and then it becomes you. There's no tactic, there's no trick. It's a principle, a foundation. It's a standard that you must embody. And it's all built righteously. And if we look at the Bible, I need you to understand that when we go to Proverbs 31, for example, what is a Proverbs 31 woman? I've mentioned this, right? Which is what a godly woman is. And in week 5 of the course, when it talks about what a good woman is, the Bible actually gives us one verse which synthesizes everything. Proverbs 31 verse 10 through 31 tells us the qualities that make a woman a wife. But it's all in Proverbs 31. It's in one place. I find that quite cool. But because men have so much work they need to do, it's spread out in different places and you need to be wise enough to piece it all together. So I find that an interesting parallel that's unique in its own way. But there are certain verses I'm going to use which are going to help you discern the characteristics of a husband. So now that you understand this blueprint of what it means to be a husband is spread out, let's get to the good stuff then. Characteristics of a husband. It's time for you to go deeper into the inner being of what a husband is supposed to be. Beauty fades, but your character stays. Gentlemen, your looks are going to get you in the door. Physical appearance is crucial for her to be interested in you, enough to kickstart an interaction. But it's only by virtuous character that you will win her heart and form a lifelong bond. And then your looks is like it pours back into the fountain. She sees how good you are as a man, and then she can now appreciate your handsome, your attractiveness even more. She's like, oh, he's such a good man and he looks so good. I'm such a lucky woman. Chemistry plus compatibility. But you can't have one without the other. You need both. More stuff I will mention throughout the course. And there are 5 qualities that make a man suitable for marriage. You have high moral standards. You are faithful. You are respectful, selfless, and humble. Let's break it down. Within each one, there are certain traits that you need to work on, or you can self-audit. First is high moral standards, and you're going to see that this will play out the same for the ladies. What does it mean to have high moral standards? High moral standards means that your morals, your standard of living is virtuous. Virtuous means of good, upstanding moral character. Biblical terms, meaning that it's what is right in the eyes of God. Your standards, your way of living is exactly what God expects you to do and how to be. Remember, Proverbs 31:10 tells us, a virtuous woman who can find? Her price is far above rubies and gold. You think, yeah, a good woman is more valuable than rubies and gold. But the thing is, it says, a virtuous woman who can find. And some guys would look at that and think, well, it must be really rare to find a good woman. Well, that verse has been around for thousands of years from the Old Testament. And it was used back then. And God hasn't changed his mind. A good woman is always virtuous. But it's who can find her. I thought about this for a long time. A good woman like that may seem super rare to you when you have a knowledge gap. But when you fill that in and you become husband material, all of a sudden that who can find her doesn't sound like she's rare. It sounds like something else. Who can find a virtuous woman? Only a virtuous man. Only a man who knows what he's looking for in a woman and can truly appreciate the beauty and honor of a feminine, godly woman is going to be able to recognize her qualities and see that she's wife material because he's husband material. Remember at the beginning of the video, Proverbs 20 verse 6, most men will proclaim how good they are, but a faithful man who can find? Who can find a good man? They seem rare. Sometimes they may seem rare. Sometimes a good woman may seem rare. But there's another meaning altogether. Who, for a woman, what sort of woman can find a faithful man? A woman who's also faithful. Because like attracts like. If she has good values and she sees that you're a husband, that's the sort of woman that's going to recognize and appreciate that you're a husband. You have the qualities of one. Wow, she's a lucky woman. So I find this stuff really interesting. Sure, Proverbs 31, a virtuous woman who can find, she's so rare. A virtuous woman who can find, a price is far above rubies. Who can find that woman? Only a man who knows what he's looking for. If you're immoral, you're living a degenerate life. If you are following red pill or manosphere or modern dating coaches, you're spiteful, bitter, hateful towards women, you struggle with porn addiction or lust, you don't know how to treat a woman, you're stuck in the past and you're not over your ex, you're never going to find a virtuous woman. Even if you got lucky, you wouldn't truly appreciate her qualities. If you're a male feminist, you ain't going to appreciate it. But a man who's right with God, a man who lets Christ work on his heart and becomes godly, follows the principles of Scripture, guess what? That sort of man who puts God first, he's going to gain more wisdom. Because Scripture tells us, fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, wisdom, right? And understanding. When you put God first and you love and respect God, the way you see things begin to change. And you will have a newfound respect for women. Because after you respect God, you respect yourself more. And then you respect others, including women. And I truly believe you are only going to find a virtuous woman if you yourself are a virtuous man, a man of high moral standards. Because like attracts like. There is no two ways around it. I told you this video was going to be long because there's a lot that I need to say. You need to seriously ask yourself as a man, what would make me respect myself more? Keeping your word, showing up on time, telling the truth, living in private as you do in public, being loyal, being genuine, being good to others, being selfless and sacrificial, achieving your goals, working on fixing the problems that are in your power to fix and change, doing what needs to be done. You'd respect yourself more, and in turn, women will respect you more. All of this self-improvement is a lie. Because self-improvement can't be tracked. It goes on a loop. Unsuccessful people, insecure people, focus on self-improvement. Successful people focus on solving problems. And your problem with relationships is that you don't even know the first thing in even finding or recognizing or appreciating a good woman. You're worried you won't know how to keep a good woman. So you need to start looking at yourself. This is a problem that you need to solve. And the first equation that you need to solve is cracking the code of your heart, your insecurities, what you suck at, what you're bad at. Cleaning your act up, making yourself presentable for a godly woman by being a godly man. This is the first thing. It starts with you. So what does it mean to have high moral standards? The first quality that indicates a man is suitable for marriage, from a woman's perspective, is that his life choices come from a place of high moral standards because he values truth. You can always judge a man by how much truth he can take. If you can't take the whole thing, might be some issues that you need to work on. Why is this so important? A woman who lives a clean, pure life, she's got her issues in check. She expects the same from you. Don't you expect the same from her? You can't be a hypocrite here. This is where you need to clean up your act. So what does it mean to have high moral standards? Let's look at the Bible verse about this. Titus chapter 1 verses 6 through 9 tells us, "If any man be blameless, the husband of one wife, having faithful children, not accused of riot or unruly, for a bishop must be blameless as the steward of God, not self-willed, not soon angry, not given to wine, no striker, not given to filthy lucre, but a lover of hospitality, a lover of good men, sober, just, holy, temperate, holding fast the faithful word as he hath been taught, that he may be able by sound doctrine both to exhort and to convince gainsayers." In other words, this is Paul giving advice to his disciple Titus, and advice to young men: be spotless and blameless. If you want to go out there and preach the word of God, what are the qualities? You have to be a husband loyal to one woman, having faithful children, and having your house in control. See, the real measure of masculinity and leadership is with women and children. If you can't get a good woman to love and respect you and your children to fall in line, you failed in manhood. This is it. This is one of the key components for masculinity. You can have all the money, you can hide behind it. You can have all the looks and muscles, you can hide behind it. If you suck with women, you'll suck at everything else. Because this is the most important relationship. And this is what Paul's implying here. You need to be spotless, clean and blameless, loyal to one woman, and have a house in control. If you can get a good woman and your kids in order down the road, everything else will fall into line. And he's using the word bishop, but in Old English and in those times, he's referring to preach the word of God, to start your own church or your own building where you teach and preach the word of God. That requirement was you have to have your own family, wife and children. And if you don't have that in control, how are you going to lead other men, other women or other children to Christ? In the context of if you want to pursue something maybe in politics or a leadership role in a career, a job or a business, military, whatever it is in your community, you are not fit to do that unless you have a wife and children under your yoke that submit and follow your lead. You can't be a self-willed guy. You can't be a lone wolf doing things how you want to. You can't be a guy who's short-tempered, quickly getting angry. You can't be a guy who's a drunk, getting close with all the wine. You can't be a striker, a guy who beats people or beats women or children. Lucre, you can't be a guy given over to filthy vices. But you must be a lover of serving others, being hospitable. You must be appreciative of good men. You must be sober. You have a clear mind. You're not double-minded, you're linear, which is masculine. You must be just. You must deal with people honorably, truthfully. You must be holy. Temperate, have self-control. This is what it means to be a man. And women are going to test you. Good women are going to look to see, does he have high moral standards? And from this verse, it's indicating this is what is required of you as a man. And this falls into these qualities. Are you chaste? Do you make friendships with other traditional men? Do you have self-control? And are you traditional and family oriented? If the answer is no or I'm not sure, start working on this immediately. What does it mean to be chaste? This means you value the sanctity of sex. We talk about this in week 2 of the course. This is marked ideally by a clean sexual history and chastity. Chastity means you're not engaging in immoral sexual acts. You're not sleeping around. You're not hooking up. You're not having sex with random women that you're not married to. Okay? You're not going around performing sexual acts. You're not masturbating. You're not engaging in lusting through the eyes by indulging in pornography, which is going to tarnish how you see women. Ideally, especially for the young guys, this means that you cherish your virginity. But in the case where you do have a sexual past, as most people do nowadays because of sin, it is marked by a change towards chastity. You've repented, you've turned from your ways, and the woman can see that now you value sexual purity. Now you value being clean, and you don't just give yourself to anyone. So regardless of virginity or sexual past, it's a values thing. You understand that sex is for a lifelong commitment. Because you could be a virgin man, but your desire is, as soon as you get a woman, you want to sleep with her. You don't want to commit or marry her, you just want to sleep with her. But you're a virgin now. You're not virgin because you value your virginity. You're virgin because you haven't had the chance to get close to a woman, to be intimate with her. And that's not chastity. Chastity is in your mind as well. And it starts here. Week 2 of the course will fill in that knowledge gap for you. But ask yourself now, because most guys would sit here and say, I want my future wife to be clean and chaste and pure. I don't want her to be ran through. That's completely fine. But when it comes to your sexual past, you're going to match well with someone who has a similar past to you. If you're watching this and maybe you have a 10 body count, probably not going to get a virgin. And I ain't going to lie to you there. If you speak to godly women who have a clean sexual history, they expect the same thing from a man. Doesn't matter how handsome you are, they're going to ask about your past. And they will figure you out because women will see through your lies. Okay, it's like an inbuilt radar detector system that they have. Because they're the weaker sex physically, and that's how they protect themselves emotionally. They vet you. They drill you psychologically. But it's a good thing. You want that for your daughters, do you not? In the future. So again, chastity is really important. If you expect her to be clean and pure, you need to offer the same. So if you have a 10 body count, even if you've changed, that's wonderful. You probably won't match well with a virgin or girl who has a 1 or 2 body. If your body count's 10, you might match well with a girl who has a 6, 7, 8, or the same body, and she's learned the lessons as well, because now it's easier to relate to each other and accept each other's sexual past because it's the same. If you don't like that, that's your pride talking. It's reality. If you're a virgin watching this, would you be with a girl? Would you marry the woman who slept with 10 men? Of course not. You probably also want her to be a virgin, right? Because you value your virginity too. Exactly. So you have to be equally yoked in your sexual history or past. I talk more about this in week 10 when it comes to compatibility and things you need to discuss with a woman. But please keep that in mind. All I can tell you is this. If you're sleeping around right now, stop. Don't make it any worse. Because your body belongs to your future wife, does it not? You want to give her something clean that she can appreciate. You expect the same of her, then don't be a hypocrite. You got to value your chastity. Next, quality that indicates you have high moral standards, which is you make friendships with other traditional men. So you only surround yourself with honorable men. As the Bible says in 1 Corinthians 15:11, bad company corrupts good morals, and you'll know them by their fruits. If you were dating a woman and she's hanging around women that are party girls and hoes, what do you think? She must be just like them. Birds of a feather flock together. So do a self-audit of the people you have in your life. Maybe you're young and you're hanging with the wrong crowd. That's fine. But a godly woman is going to get a wrong impression, and she's not going to wait to find out to see if you're right or wrong. Surround yourself by good, honorable men. This encourages you to be godly, holds you to a higher standard, makes you a bit more masculine, and it helps you pursue righteousness. Because when you're around guys, they want to drink, they want to party, they peer pressure you to do bad things, they peer pressure you to sleep around and hook up, they separate you from God, they're bums, and they're losers. You hang around with them by association over time, it'll have an effect and it'll rub off on you and you'll become like them. You run the risk. Don't play with fire. Okay, Jesus sat with sinners not to be kumbaya and be buddies. He sat with them to call them to repentance, and then he moved on to the next. You want to be around good men that are discussing things like health, business, family, career. They value their culture and heritage. Men that are loyal. Okay, guys, you're helping each other work on your weaknesses, overcoming challenges that you're facing. Men that you have fun with, men that when you spend time with them, you trust them, you feel good, you can open up to them. Men that are encouraging you to get stronger and healthier. Okay, those are the quality of friends you want to have. That is really important, and it's a sign that you have standards for yourself. And that's why a good woman, it's one of the first things she's going to see. Tell me about his friends. Let me see what he's all about. Another sign that, is you're able to cut off men that are effeminate, men that are degenerate, and you avoid men that are a bad influence. If you have a track record of doing this, and when you start talking to a girl, you're able to tell her, yeah, I've walked away from bad friends. These are my reasons for walking away. It shows a good sign. You have self-respect. You have probably a higher self-esteem. Probably have more integrity. You're able to stay away from bad people. And to her, subconsciously, it makes her feel safe. Okay, he can make good decisions in his own life. He knows when to cut off people that are bad for him. He's a strong man. I can respect that. That's what a woman wants to see. And even if at the time of you dating a woman, or when you do meet her, you have bad people in your life, or when they do come into your life later on, she sees that you have the strength to walk away. That tells a woman that you got good values. High moral standards is a certain one. That's very important in a nutshell. Next is self-control. Guys, men that have high standards for themselves don't put themselves in situations where they could potentially degrade themselves, where you ruin your masculinity, your health, or your morals. This means that you abstain from damaging vices and you actively protect your dignity and value your life. So again, it's akin to you making friendships with other traditional men. You're not getting involved with dangerous people. You're not getting involved in crime or in doing things that are illegal. You have enough self-control to stop putting junk food in your mouth. You're eating the right foods. You have enough discipline to value your nutrition, your exercise, your training. You have a well-ordered, well-structured life. You avoid anything that could damage your masculinity. You don't drink, you don't smoke, you don't take any drugs. You stay away from pornography, you don't masturbate. You have control over your flesh. You have control over the words that come out of your mouth, over your temper, okay? These are very important things. And a woman is going to start looking for this immediately. She's going to test you immediately, subconsciously, when she starts dating you, especially the good ones. She's going to look at this. If you're going to the club every weekend and partying, and, oh, Christian, I can't find a good woman, you don't have to tell me why. I know why, and so do you. Stop lying to yourself. You're not going to find a wife at a club. Okay? Good women don't want a guy who's a party guy, a party freak. It's just truth. You want the same thing in a woman, then hold yourself to that standard. So if you have self-control, you are not going to put yourself in situations or around people that are bad news. She wants to see that you are a man that actively protects your dignity and that you value your life. Because when she sees that you have self-respect, you care about yourself enough to be careful about the decisions you make. You know what? I can respect that in a man. That's how a woman sees it. And you'd see the same thing in a woman. If she's intelligent enough to stay away from bad people and doesn't do bad things, you know what? She's probably, that's wife material. If you have kids with her, she's not going to make stupid choices, is she? Okay? So a woman needs to see that. Okay, he has self-control. Next, you are traditional and family oriented. This means that you have made yourself ready for husbandship and fatherhood. So following the last lesson, you've following those steps, or you are currently in the process of learning. You detest feminism and red pill values, and you hate the notion of being status driven. I see a lot of young guys, they're into self-improvement, guys that have lower self-esteem, they're all into like flexing and showing off. Everything's about status and power. But the Bible tells you otherwise. When you look at the most successful rulers and kings and leaders amongst history, they were loved by their people. They were well respected by the men in their kingdom or under their leadership, because those men didn't do it for status, didn't do it for power or glory. They did it for love. They did it for the betterment of their people, and they sacrificed and made life choices in their leadership to protect their race, their family, their heritage, their culture, their people, their country, their town, their city, whatever it was. They did what was right by their people. So they weren't in it for themselves. They stepped up to the plate to lead. They became a leader by the integrity of their action and the love they have for others. It's not about status. But when you do it righteously, you'll get a good reputation. Not this modern day stuff that you hear nowadays. If I get a nice car, I'll have status. If I make 6-7 figures, I have status. That gets you a gold digger. That's all it gets you. So good women know about this, and they're going to stay far away from a guy who doesn't want to be a husband, who doesn't want to be a father. They will stay far away from a guy who's a red pill is feminism. It's a branch of feminism. Guys that are status driven and are showing off, good women are going to stay far away from you. But regardless of your level of understanding, of your willingness, one thing remains clear. She wants to see that your values are in sync with God's will for husbandship. That you want to lead, protect, and provide for a woman. That you are a good man. That you have self-control. That you have good people in your life. That you value your sexual purity. You're not some porn brain degenerate. That's what she wants to see. You're traditional, you're family oriented. You want to be a family. You want to have children. If she sees that, and it all ties together with you having high moral standards for these things, wonderful. That is the first quality, first characteristic of a man who's husband material. So let's move on to the second one, which is you are faithful. Faithfulness. Remember that verse? Most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness, but a loyal man who can find? Well, only a loyal woman. If she has integrity, she's going to recognize if you do. But you also still need to work on it, guys. The second quality that guarantees a man is right for marriage is integrity. This means that he's genuine and loyal. No two ways around it. So faithfulness is split into two traits, you could say. Genuine and loyal. It really is that simple. And it goes for women too. You'll see that in week 5. How are you going to be a husband if you're going to be looking at other women? If you're cheating? If you're lying? If you don't keep your word? Why would any woman want to marry you? You wouldn't want your daughter around a guy like that? Then don't be that type of guy who does it. Hold yourself to the same standard. Number 1, being genuine. All of the experiences and information that you share with her always add up. If you tell her, babe, I'm going to the gym, I'll be back at 6, it's true. You're not secretly out gambling at the fucking casino, excuse my French, or you're off doing something else shady. You keep your word. So you are honest and reliable. Some of you guys will wonder, why is it that, if you look back at your past, why is it that some women haven't trusted you? Because you don't keep your word. And I mentioned this in week 2 and week 3 in the course as well, actually. What is one of the signs? How can you track or determine in real time that a woman loves and respects you? And that you're doing everything right as a man? Simple. You get respect and you get her admiration. She looks up at you. She does as she's told. She trusts you and she follows your lead willingly with no resistance. She lets go of any sense of control and she lets you take the lead and she wants you to. She feels safe and comfortable enough for you to lead her because you're trustworthy. Why? Because you're genuine. This is only going to happen with a woman if you're a man who keeps his word. So you need to be honest and reliable. Anything you tell her about your past, any information you update her with day to day, you can't be the type of guy who's lying. You can't be leading a double life, hiding things, being afraid of being caught, because you will be eventually. Be honest about who you are. Live in private as you do in public, so there's no skeletons in your closet. Do a self-audit. Because if you have an addiction or there is something you are hiding, it'll come out later on. And it's like, trust is like glass. Once you shatter that on the floor, maybe you can piece it together, but the cracks are always going to be there. Trust is, in fact, the quality of being someone who's faithful is so important. It's like you wouldn't be friends with someone who betrayed you, right? It's common sense. Same thing in relationships, same things in marriage. You wouldn't sign a business contract with someone who's betrayed everyone before, would you? It's a dumb thing to do. So from a woman's perspective, why would she commit to you if when she's dating you in the early stages of a relationship, she can see that things don't add up with you? You wouldn't want a woman to do that to you, would you? So again, it starts with you. Be genuine, guys. Clear up any skeletons you have. Clear up any problems you have. Now that you're single is when you're going to want to self-audit and really work on yourself. Okay, cut the axe. Sharpen the axe, I should say. Anything you ever share with a woman must add up. Tell the truth. Keep your word. Let your yes be yes and let your no be no, as Christ said in the book of Matthew. Be honest and reliable. Next is loyalty. Again, it's not just about keeping your word. Hey, I'll text you later. I'm at work, and you truly are. You're not out drinking, right? Loyalty is a part of faithfulness. And this means you do not allow other women to get close to you. Therefore, you are a trustworthy man. You want a woman that's loyal? I've seen so many guys tell me, Christian, I want a girl that's loyal and faithful. But then these guys, they're watching porn, they're jerking off. They'll have a girlfriend, but they're looking at the next woman walking by. Why would a woman commit to you when you're being unloyal? When you're being unfaithful? When you're an adulterer? This is such a serious thing that even God allows in Scripture the one reason by which you can divorce, which is betrayal. So again, be a loyal man. Do not do anything to let women get close to you. Don't go to clubs or parties. Don't go to immodest venues. Don't post inappropriate things on your social media to attract the wrong women, especially when you get a girl. But clean your act up now that you're single. Okay? Stop watching pornography. Stop masturbating. Stay away from any selfishness. Don't let that lust get a hold of you. Be a trustworthy guy. Don't have any female friends. Don't get close to other women. The only woman you should have in your life, when you have one, is your woman, is your wife. Your wife-to-be, your girlfriend. That's it. Because if not, you can't sit there and look at her and say, I don't want you to have any guy friends. I don't want you to get close to other guys. How can you expect that from her if you're not upholding that on your own? Because a good woman ain't going to tolerate this. If she sees you talking to other girls, getting close to other girls, being buddy-buddy with other women, you're putting yourself in venues or in places where women can get close to you and you let it happen, she's not going to feel respected by you. She can't trust you. Would you want your future daughter to have her boyfriend do stuff like that? Of course not. So you've got to hold that standard yourself. You want to teach your future children about loyalty? Number 1, be loyal. Number 2, marry a loyal woman. And number 3, then your children can see what loyalty is. But it starts with you. Some of you guys think it's trendy, or you're with the wrong crowd, and they tell you that, oh, it's okay to flirt, everybody does it. It's not. It is disgusting and immoral. And until you get to that point where you see it that way, this ain't sorted for you. Self-audit yourself. In a nutshell, that is what faithfulness is. Okay, being genuine and being loyal. Next is being respectful. And the quality of being respectful is marked by clear communication and pure intentions. All of this stuff connects. This is what makes you husband. A woman wants to be with a man, yes. He has high moral standards. Yes, he's faithful. But you also have to be respectful. Colossians 3:19 in scripture tells us, husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. Don't hold grudges. Don't be angry. Don't let things build up. Don't sweep things under the rug. Address things as they are. Keep a clean slate. In week 11, I'll talk a lot about how to communicate and treat a woman properly. That'll sort you out for sure. But just be mindful of this now. The third quality that makes a man suitable for marriage is respect. This is displayed by a mixture of gentleness and goodness, which is some of the fruits of the Spirit, which we covered week 1, earlier lessons. Gentleness refers to treating her with mercy, so you know when to forgive her and how to let go, and you treat her with sincerity. You're honest with her. You talk to her truthfully. You're not playing weird passive mind games. You're direct, straightforward, and right to the point. That's gentleness. And goodness means you live righteously. You do what's right in the eyes of God, and this is reflected in how you treat a woman. Some of you guys treat women so badly, then you wonder why. Christian, I can't find a good woman. Or you're too weak, you're too much of a pussy to call a woman out on something or communicate clearly. And so you invite people to treat you the wrong way. You attract the wrong women because you don't have the right standards for yourself. Do you even respect yourself as a man? A lot of this ties to this. But again, communication and pure intention. Let's break it down. Clear communication means that you make a consistent effort to let her know, and this is obviously when you have a woman in your life, you let her know about your needs, about your wants, about your expectations. When you're upset or angry at her, you make it relatively easy to communicate lovingly, and you hold her accountable when she says or does something that hurts or upsets you without defeminizing her. What do I mean? If you start talking to her like she's a man, raising your voice, or you feel like you have to shout, thump your chest, or make threats and ultimatums, you are going to scare a woman away. And if you, especially when you're upset, if you swear at her, if you insult her, if you say nasty things to her when you're upset or angry because you think that's going to make her submit to you, you are going to scare women away. And if you're with bad women, they're going to become nasty with you. And if you're the good woman, you are going to break her heart and shut her down emotionally, and you might push her away. You can rebuild that, but it takes time. But again, you don't want to go through having to fix, and these are mistakes that are preventable by getting your values clean. So again, if you're the type of guy who you go mute, you don't communicate, you stonewall, you go quiet, you run away, you don't want to handle conflict, if there's a problem in your relationship with a woman and you're too afraid to handle it, or you look back at your past and you know that you were never able to, you need to clear this up. But by getting the right values, you can communicate clearly. So you need to get to a point where you're able to hold a woman accountable without tearing down her femininity, without speaking down on her in a nasty, rude way. Speak clearly, but speak lovingly. Don't do it in a bitter way. Okay? This means that you don't make any threats or ultimatums. So if she doesn't respond in a way that you think is favorable, if you sit there and start telling a woman, well, if you don't do this, I'm gonna dump you. Well, if you don't do this, I'm gonna do that to you. It's like, that's abusive behavior that's gonna scare a woman. Masculine men, men that are godly, men that have their emotions in check, do not speak that way to a woman. Guys that don't know how to communicate, maybe you grew up in a toxic household, or maybe you've been mistreated by women in the past or bad people, and you've learnt this as a coping mechanism. And when you don't feel like you have control over a situation, you lash out and you make threats and ultimatums to gain a sense of control. If you're doing it because of that, you're still going to scare women, and it doesn't make it right. That needs to change. So self-audit your emotions. This means there is no name calling, and you never use anything against her to hurt her. If you're going to use passive-aggressive communication, name calling, insulting, like, yeah, sticks and stones, but you don't want to hurt your woman. She's part of you. And it's like, think ahead of time. How would you feel if you're with a woman and she's treating you like that? You'd feel so ashamed. You'd feel so hurt. A godly woman does no harm to her man. Neither should a godly man to her. So this means no name calling, gentlemen. And you're never doing anything to hurt her. This is a solid indicator that you respect her, and you intend to demonstrate that through healthy communication. In week 11 of the course, I have a whole section on how to make a woman feel heard and understood, how to open up emotionally, how to communicate. A lot of that is covered there. And you'll pick up a lot of stuff throughout the course. But that's a very big thing. Communicating clearly to a woman. It's like, she's a woman. If she's a good woman that wants to find a good man she can marry, it doesn't matter how hot she thinks you are at the beginning. If you start to show signs of dysfunctional, immature, or screwed up toxic communication, you shut her down, and you can really scare her away. So self-audit yourself. Next sign that you're a respectful man worthy of marriage is your intentions are pure. Ties into you being a guy who's genuine and loyal, right? You're faithful. This means you're genuine, you are kind-hearted, you are tender, and you're always sweet in all of your interactions with her. You don't compare or compete with her. I see a lot of guys do this. You grow up in a feminist world, or you're into self-improvement, and everything's a competition or a game. You feel like it's you versus her. You need to see who's doing better, and you treat her like a little man. And you masculinize the woman. You put her into a masculine frame. Because it's you trying to see it as you versus her. Because you've bought into that red pill dichotomy that it's men versus women. And you're kind of at war with her. If you're doing that, your intentions aren't very clean with women. You're trying to like track, oh, who did more nice things? Oh, who's doing better? Who's giving more to the other person? It's a very selfish way of seeing things. And if you're doing that, your intentions are not pure. They are impure, and they are dirty, and they are marked by selfishness. They could be marked by wounds you have from your past, but that's stuff you need to clear up. But you want to be kind with your woman. You want to be tender. She's your baby girl. That's your mindset. You have to protect her and keep her safe. You want to be sweet with her and loving and kind. Never compete with your woman. Instead, the hallmark of you having pure intentions is that you compliment her. You honor her. Femininity grows through praise and affection. And when you have a good woman, you want to give her that praise. You want to show her off. You want to tell your family and friends, guys, I have this amazing woman. You can look her in the eyes and give her a real compliment. Hey, sweetheart, I appreciate all the lovely things you do for me. That's what I always do with my girl. Whether it's love notes or flowers, or take her to a nice restaurant, or pull her to a side, give her a hug and a kiss, and just tell her how much I appreciate and cherish her. That's how you build up a woman. But when you truly have good intentions and you appreciate a woman, you're able to do this. Some of you are so closed off emotionally because of things from your past that you're too scared to open up. So you never compliment or honor her. And good women pay attention to this. If she's spending time with you, it's been months or years, and she's like, I've been dating this guy and he never compliments me. He never has a nice word to say about me. She's going to think something's wrong with you. That's not very respectful. And then she'll have to question your intentions. Why are you with her? So please, guys, self-audit. Are you communicating clearly? Or are you able to? And what about your intentions? You know, women are more likely to be killed by the man they're in a relationship or married to than a stranger. Isn't that sad? If you take your red pill feminine, you remove all of that. See things from a woman's perspective. Women are most often abused by the men that are closest to them. I find that so sad. There's a lot of dishonorable men out there that have anger issues. They have wounds from their past. And if they don't get that fixed, they will burst and they will really mistreat women. So please clear up your act. Be a respectful man. Next indication of a man who is husband material, and this is a big one here, is a man that is selfless. So far we've covered, as a husband, the qualities that you must embody now as you're single. When she comes into your life, is a man that you have high moral standards, you're chaste, all of this good stuff. You're a faithful man. It's evident in your lifestyle, with your friends and family. You're a selfless man, which is the next one. So if we go through the blueprint of a wife, the qualities that make a woman wife material: she's high moral standards, all the same stuff. She's faithful. She's respectful of you. And the difference is, number 4, is that the wife is going to be helpful. Why? Because a woman's role is to submit and follow your lead, and she's made for you to fit into your life and assist you. Okay? The man is the head of the home, the woman is the heart of the home. Okay? You provide the house, she turns it into a home. Okay? So her role is to be supportive, submissive to you. Your role with your selflessness is to love her sacrificially. So this is the one difference you're going to see. Finally, the 5th sign is humility. She's humble, and of course you must be humble too. Just thought I would throw that in there, just so that when you go back to week 5 for my older clients or my new clients, when you get to that, you see the parallels. And the reason why all the other qualities align except number 4 is because the qualities you want in a spouse really are the same, except for the ones related to the differences. As a man, you're masculine, so you're supposed to be selfless, and a woman is feminine, so she's meant to submit and fall into that role. So it connects and it works together, it combines for sexual polarity. But all of the other qualities mentioned here, faithfulness, respectful, high moral standards, and humility, being humble, these are qualities that man and woman must both have to be husband and wife material. And it makes sense. If you put all of this down on a list and said, okay, this is all the stuff I want to see in how a woman treats me, well, these are also things that you must do yourself. Because before you find a wife, you become a husband. And I'm helping you become the husband when you're single, so that a good woman can recognize that in you. And I have seen it with clients when they've dated girls, or they've matched with girls on dating apps and they've gotten to know them. The women will always say, like, there's something different about you. Like, your qualities, the way you are. I've never really met a guy like you. When I really embodied this stuff, when I met the woman of my dreams, my Stacey, she would always tell me when we started dating, like, wow, like, there's something different about you. I've never met a man like you. Obviously, you're exactly my type, but wow, you're really different. It's because of these values. And she recognizes right away, he's husband material. One of the clients who's engaged and who's getting married, who's in relationship mastery, for those who are, Ludwig, you'll know him. But for those who are watching this from the free week 1 access in the Relearning Relationships community, you might see the pinned post of testimonial or engaged. And it's the Swedish guy, Ludwig. He went through my course. This guy never got on a date in his life. Never had a girlfriend, nothing. He studied everything in relationship mastery, applied it. He got the woman of his dreams. And now in less than 1 year of courtship, engaged, and they're getting married. With its certainty and assurance, 100% clarity that they're right for each other. Why? He became husband material. He went through all the roles and responsibilities. He filled in his knowledge gap through the course. He found the right woman, courted her, treated her well, and then gets married. But he's embodying these qualities too. Because the woman has to see this in you guys. This is the thing. Only a good woman is going to recognize this. I thought I'd throw that in there, just to give you some more information that this stuff works. But the right woman can only appreciate it, right? But again, so with all these qualities, we'll get to the next one, right? Selflessness. Husbands Love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Part of you being a man is laying down your life. And the husband, scripturally speaking, is a type of Christ. You have to be willing to lay down your life for your wife and kids. The ultimate sacrifice is laying down your life for others. Ask yourself, if you have a good woman in your life, would you do anything for her? Maybe the job you're working now or your business. One mindset I always like to give my clients who are single is this, guys. If you're single, any money that you make shouldn't be for you. Your mindset should be, I'm doing all of this to give my future wife and kids a good life. Me getting in good shape isn't about showing off and flexing. It's so, number one, I can look sexually attracted to my future wife. Number two, I can stay fertile and healthy. And number three, I'm going to be a good example for my future children. That, dad's in good shape, he's got self-esteem, he can protect himself. It's a good standard to have. Change your mindset of doing things for yourself to, I'm doing things for my future family. I'm doing things for my future wife, to my future children. You have to have that selfless mindset when you do things in your life. All the money you're investing in your stocks, your crypto, your real estate portfolio, it's not about you, it's about the family. And real men have always sacrificed for their loved ones. And if you can't sacrifice for the future woman in your life, your future wife, then you're not a man. Okay? So the fourth quality that relates to you fulfilling your biblical role of being a leader, protector, and provider. That's it. Your values and habits must display that you devote yourself to her. And it's demonstrated through competence, gratitude, and peaceful behavior. This gives her assurance that you are consistent, responsible, and reliable as a man. And selflessness is the sacrificial nature of a husband's love, drawing a parallel with Christ's love for the church. So let's start with competence. This means that you demonstrate direction and courage to lead her selflessly. You protect her consistently via physical and emotional strength, all stuff we covered in the previous lesson, and you provide for her by fulfilling her needs by your self-sufficiency, self-reliance, and trustworthiness. Remember, self-sufficiency is related to the financial aspect of things. And again, some of you guys watching, you're in your teens, you're in your 20s, maybe you don't have all your money right. That's fine. A good woman is going to live between your means. But she wants to see you be a hero. You're trying your best. You're working on a career. You're building a business. You're doing it to give her a good life. That's what she wants to see when she comes into your life. And I do think it's much better to find a woman when you're young and you don't have much than you see if she's really by your side, right? But when she does come into your life, let her see you do something. Or you're learning about stocks or crypto or real estate or a new business or a side hustle. You're seeking out ways to bring in financial stability for you and her. That's masculine, taking care of your family. That's what she wants to see you try and do. So you're working towards self-sufficiency. Next is self-reliance. You have enough skills and knowledge to protect yourself in situations where you can't rely on your financial means. And other skill set that come in handy in survival times, such as learning about carpentry, woodwork, electronics, fishing, hunting, farming, growing food, building things, crafting things. Okay, being a jack of all trade. It's very important to know basics of building a house, hot wiring a car, changing the oil in a car. Things of that nature. Even cooking as a man, it's good to know those things. How do you know how to do laundry? Are you clean? Are you well groomed? Do you take care of yourself? This tells a woman a lot about you. Competence is a sign of masculinity. So just to refresh your mindset, since we're on this, we go back to week 1. We go to the lesson, the roles and responsibilities of a husband and father. So leadership, serving selflessly from a place of direction and courage. For you to be competent as a husband, when a woman starts dating you, your boyfriend, girlfriend, she wants to see that you have that courage to lead her. You have a sense of clarity, you know where you're going as a man. She sees that you handle hardships in life with courage. You make tough decisions. You take risk. That's masculine, that's attractive, that's a turn on. That's what she wants to see. So when she sees that you lead her with gladness, you plan fun dates, couples that play together stay together, you lead her with gladness. Because I see a lot of bitter men, a lot of these feminist men, I don't want to take her on a date, I don't want to pay for her, I don't want to take her anywhere, I don't want to do anything fun with her, because they're playing this character. They're not being genuine. They're playing behind a mask. They're structured, they're fake, and they're going to lose that woman because they're being fake. I don't want you to be like that. I want you to be genuine. Let her see that you want to take care of her. Love is about giving, and you go to a relationship and marriage to give. Giving comes first. Obviously, watch out for the bad women that take. But when you have a good woman, part of her seeing your husband material is that you're gracious. You're abundant with it. You're giving. You're sacrificial. Okay, you're not this tight. You're not being like, you can even say the word Jewish, where you're like hoarding everything. You're a giver. Okay? How can you come together and share your life with a woman if you're not sharing your life with her? So she needs to see that. You lead her with gladness. You want to take her nice places. You want to give her a good life. You do romance her. And you find joy in protecting and providing for her. When you have a woman that's wife material, that's one thing that'll click with you. You will want to provide for her. Nothing makes me happier than taking care of my woman, than buying her something nice or taking her somewhere. Nothing makes me happier than that. And of course, protecting her isn't just physically, by you being physically strong, but it's through your emotional strength, which is by living by truth, enforcing tough boundaries. Remember, you set the tone at the beginning with a woman. Okay? It's much better to start off too strict than not strict enough. And then you wait 6 months till you're in a relationship, or you marry this girl, and then now you want to be all like dominant and masculine and lead. But she's seen you be a cuck for the last 2 years. I'm not saying it wouldn't even work then, because a godly woman isn't going to stick around with a guy like that. But you get what I'm saying. You set the tone and the frame of things from the beginning. You have emotional strength. A man who protects his integrity is going to protect the women in his life. And she's going to see that with you. If she sees that you stand by your word, you can defend your values, your rights and your morals, you stand by what's right, you can protect yourself, you don't take BS from anyone, you have self-respect, you have self-esteem, and you live by what is right. You have a healthy understanding of what's going on in the world. You protect her from threats and from danger. When a woman sees that you do that for her, that's what really turns her on, that you really protect her. Because it's not just physical. You're strong enough to defend her, but you can protect her emotionally from things. If you find something online, or you find out maybe, I don't know, she's reading something online that's bad for her, you're well versed in knowledge and wisdom to tell her that she should stop doing that, and she listens because she trusts your judgment. Okay, you have to for you to protect, remember, you supervise and support those that are under your responsibility. When a woman comes into your life, women don't crave equality, they crave hierarchy. She wants to be with a man that, in a way, puts her in her place. A man that is going to teach her right from wrong. A man that's going to guide her. A man that's going to protect her. So you give her this safe environment so she can be feminine and sweet and girly. But you have to handle all the logistics and all the variables of life. All the tough challenges and hardships, you need to face that and be a man. But you do need to protect her, guys. And a woman is going to look at this. Can he take stress off me? Can he protect me? Can he keep me safe? Can he watch over me? When it comes to health, can you make sure she's not eating foods that are bad for her? Like little things like that, you're leading her, you're pushing her in the right direction. You're not afraid to offend her or make her get upset with you because you're leading her with truth. That's part of you protecting and providing for your woman. Well, that is part of you protecting. It's not just defending her from physical threats. It's that you're keeping her protected from the evils of the world. Whether it's emotionally, whether it's spiritually. She gets involved with the wrong friend. Hey babe, you need to be careful with that girl. And she listens to you if she didn't catch it. And she trusts your judgment. Little things like that matter so much. And it's so attractive to a woman because this is what's going to make her really respect you. Well, this guy obviously has a good reputation. He's an honourable guy. I trust him. You're competent in life at doing what's right. This is so big in relationships, guys. And part of you being husband material is she sees you're a competent man. And when you find joy in protecting and providing for her, that's when you're a man. okay, worthy of being a husband. And providing is the necessary measures to ensure her needs are taken care of, as I mentioned before. Self-sufficiency, everything's, you take care of the finances, you're working on that. Self-reliance, you have a baseline understanding of how to survive and do those manly things. You show competence. And of course, trustworthiness. Track record of keeping your word, completing tasks, you do things on time. You have a sense of order and structure, and she can fall into that because that's where the protection comes, the provision comes in. You're providing her with a safe environment for her to just be feminine. And then she can assist you and nurture you and help you in what you're doing as a man. It works wonders, but this is what you need to do right. So I really recommend going back to the previous lesson and freshening up on the roles and responsibilities of a man, because it ties into this. And the next sign that means you're a selfless guy is that you're grateful for her. When you have a woman and she's the woman of your dreams, you want to express your love for her through appreciation. You value her presence. You love being around her. Why? Because femininity inspires masculinity and masculinity inspires femininity. If you're each other's type, you have the same values, she's going to want to spend time with you. Being in her presence, it like charges you up with energy. You love being around her, and so should she. And if you don't feel that way about a specific woman that you're dating, then you're probably not going to be a husband. You're probably not the right guy for her. But if you're husband material and she's wife material, this will connect quite well. You'll both have a sense of gratitude for each other. But ask yourself seriously, if you're with a woman, you should be at a place where you are able to naturally, you find it natural to praise her and be affectionate towards her. You want to spoil her. You want to buy her favorite flowers. You want to take her to a nice restaurant. You want to give her a nice compliment about her beauty or her internal qualities, something sweet she did to you. You show appreciation. You really, you feel lucky and grateful for having her in your life. You thank God every day for this woman. You look her in the eyes and you can tell her that, you know, sweetheart. I tell my girl often, you know what? I always, when I'm praying at night, I always thank God for you. I love you so much. Obviously, she does the same sweet thing back, but it just goes to show that you're going to spend your life with this woman. So if you're going to be a husband, you should be able to really feel like you hit the jackpot. You got so lucky to have her. Okay? And if you find it difficult to praise a woman and be affectionate, you might have emotional blockers due to trauma or sin or a knowledge gap, and you're one of these weird guys who doesn't know how to communicate. Once you go through the course a few times, you'll eventually get better at opening up there. You won't have any problems. But next up is being peaceful. You might think, well, that's weird. Well, peaceful behavior. A relationship should be, being married to the right woman, it should be the most peaceful thing in the world. The world is already painful. There's a lot of drama. There's bad things happening all the time. And you coming home to your woman, she should be excited to see you. You should be happy to see her. You should be the piece of the puzzle that you've both been missing all your lives. And when you connect, it's like all your problems disappear. And for you being husband material, this is why you need to learn how to open a woman up, know how to communicate, make her feel heard and understood, so that when she's around you, she misses you. When she's with you, she feels good. And when she's not away from you, she misses you. She looks forward to reconnect. Talk a lot about that in week 10 and week 11. Making a woman, tracking her emotional attraction, watching how she grows, her feelings for you over time, pinpointing where you're going wrong, what you can do right. But in a nutshell, guys, from a woman's perspective, for her to see you as husband material, she has to feel peace with you. She has to feel safe with you. So when you treat her with kindness, you're always good to her. And you're a patient guy, you're calm, you're collected. Okay, your health is in check, your hormones are fine, you're a masculine guy. You're not rushing, you're not forcing anything on her. You're patient, you let her come to you, you treat her well. And you do this consistently, you make her feel safe. And when a woman feels safe around you, she opens up. When she feels heard and understood, and she feels lucky to have you, guess what? She wants more of your time. You become her priority. You become her knight in shining armor, her hero. She should feel lucky to have you. And if you make her feel safe, there's no funny business where you disappear, or you have red flags, you're hiding things. When you are truly loving her as Christ calls to love her, sacrificially, there's nothing you're hiding. All the chips are laid out on the table. You are all in. You're fully invested in it. You're giving her all of your love. Then obviously you're going to make her feel safe because she sees you are a genuine man. That's what's going to make her think, yeah, I can see myself marrying this guy. Because I know if I have kids with him, he's not going to abandon me. He's loyal. He's consistent. He's faithful. Has good standards for himself. He's respectful towards me. He's a competent man. He's masculine. He can handle things. He's grateful for me. I can see he's lucky to have me. And he makes me feel safe. Of course I want to marry him. He's the right guy for me. That's why this is so important. So, you need to make a woman feel safe by knowing how to treat her well. Guys that, you're selfish and you're putting on a mask and you're not loving her properly, you're not going to make a woman feel safe. You're going to scare her away. But in a nutshell, there needs to be peaceful behavior for her to see that you're husband material. I mean, look at it from your angle. Life is already hard. You want a soft, feminine woman that comes into your life and she brings you peace. You melt when you're in her presence, your problems go away, and she just makes you feel good. That's why it says in Proverbs 31:12, a good woman does good to her husband all the days of his life. And it's true, having a good woman, that's how she does it, guys. She really makes you feel good, always. She's loyal. But the same thing goes for you as a man. She's a woman. She has already stuff that she has to deal with. And then you come into the picture and you're this emotional, angry guy. You're treating her badly. You're a jerk. I mean, and you're scaring and hurting this woman emotionally. You're not bringing her any peace. Why would she want to commit to you? This is really important stuff. You need to love her selflessly, sacrificially. And finally, last but not least, it's the quality of being a humble man. Humility. The most important lesson that Christ taught us is humility. You cannot be a man that is ready for marriage if you're not humble. There can be no growth, there can be no learning, there can be no loving if you're prideful. For you to even be open and vulnerable and connect with a woman, you need to be humble. Because if you're not humble, you can't recognize your strengths, your weaknesses. And the reality is, you signed up to this course, you are obviously humble enough to recognize you have a knowledge gap and you're willing to grow and learn. So it would be safe to say that most of you are quite humble, but you can always be more humble. There's always things you can work on and grow. So let's look at this, yeah? Titus chapter 2, verses 6 through 8 tells us that young men should be sober-minded, in all things showing thyself a pattern of good works, in doctrine showing uncorrupted, gravity, sincerity, sound speech that cannot be condemned, that he who is of the contrary part may be ashamed, having no evil thing to say of you. What does this mean? And this is Paul teaching young men. Young men, you should be sober-minded, so you're one-dimensional, linear, focused on one thing. There's no drugs, alcohol, there's no unresolved stuff in your mind that's keeping you distracted or you can't focus on things. In all things, show a pattern of good works. In your work, show that you are genuine and a hard worker. Gravity, meaning that it's the quality of being shamefaced. So you deal with things seriously. You're not always like being a little child joking. You deal with things truly. When it's time to be serious, you are serious. Okay? You deal with things in a sense of sincerity, with honesty, with integrity, with kindness and gentleness. You have sound speech. You're not screaming and shouting. Your words and actions align. There is nothing about you that should be condemned. Meaning, people can try and point a finger at you, but there's nothing bad to say about you because you're genuine. That's the quality of a man that a woman can feel safe enough to marry. If you're a humble guy, she has to look at you and vet you and go, yep, there's no red flags, he's clean. Same thing for a woman that's wife material. You look at her, I couldn't even say one bad thing about her. That's how good of a woman she is. That's the standard you want to uphold yourself to. So anyone who's accusing you, and she's going to see this throughout your life, friends, family, at your job, whoever, if anyone tries to come after you, at the end of the day, it only makes them look bad because you are spotless and blameless. And that is a good standard for living, and that's true humility. So the final quality that makes a man suitable for marriage is humility. This means that you are not vain and that you lack in pride. And it's a reflection of having exemplary behavior and a reputation that precedes you. And this can be looked at into two things. You are modest and you are honorable. Regarding modesty, this means that you never exalt yourself or gloat about your achievements, talents, or skills. You do not seek external validation, status, or any sort of power. Your modesty signals to her that you respect God, yourself, and her. There's a lot of young men that like to flex. You take a shirtless mirror pic at the gym. You want to get a nice car to show off. You meet women and you want to talk about all the girls that like you. You want to flex and talk about how much money you make, how strong you are. That works well with the girls that have low self-esteem. That works well with girls that are just gold diggers or they're superficial and they want to use you, but they don't really care. You want to get with a beautiful woman who's wife material. You talk like that to her, right away she can see you're obviously insecure and you're quite prideful, and it's a turn off. You could look like Brad Pitt, but if you open your mouth and you sound like a jerk, she's thinking, oh, what a shame. Another prideful one, and she'll move on. And in your own ego, you won't even be able to understand why it happened. Why did she walk away from me? I was only telling her all the cool things about me. The only way to truly impress a good woman is by not impressing her at all. If you've achieved wonderful things, let her slowly learn and discover that over time. If she asks you, fair enough, be genuine and tell her. If you have a nice car, you don't need to tell her you have a Mercedes. When you show up on the second, third day and you do decide to pick her up one day, let her see you. Then she'll see it. But the fact that you never mentioned it, now it's impressive because you weren't showing off. But even then, good women don't care about materialistic things because they've dealt with guys who show off materialistic things and they know that that doesn't make you a man. Anyone can save up good enough money or take out a loan and go into debt if they wanted to and they're young and get a nice expensive car to look cool. So you're not fooling good women. You're not. So if you have any urge to show off, talk about your achievements or puff yourself up and discuss your talents and your skills and talk about everything you've done, and you're on social media, you're posting your lifestyle, what you're doing, what you're achieving, or even when you talk to women or people, you're always showing off, all it's going to show a good woman is that you have low self-esteem and you're probably not that confident. If you're seeking status and power and you want fame, you're not going to get yourself a good woman. I'm telling you that right now. You need to humble yourself. Modesty, like when you think of modesty, you think, oh, it's a woman dressing well and covering up. Men are called to cover up too and be modest. But modesty is not just about how one dresses and clothes themselves. It's how you handle the affairs in your life. If you have successes and wins and you're doing well for yourself, that's a private thing. That doesn't need to be shown on social media or publicly for the world to see. That's private. Okay? The reason why you cover up your body is because that belongs to your future wife. She covers up because it belongs to her future husband. It's something private. It's not something public that should be adorned and shown off to the world. Bikini pics or shirtless pics at the gym, You showing off your six-pack on an Instagram story, all that does is signal insecurity, and good women do not want guys like that. It's vain. You want to be the type of guy that's modest. If you never exalt, you never gloat, and you never show off, that's a very good sign in combination with everything else we've covered today. And next up is honor. One of the qualities of a humble man is that he's honorable. When a woman meets you, she's going to proofread you and look at your peers, look at your lifestyle. What do people think about him? Is he well respected? If you're not well respected, why is that? Is there something wrong with him? Is there reason? Is there truth to it? But if you have a good, clean track record and your family speaks highly of you, your friends speak highly of you, people at your work, or maybe if you live in a close town where everybody knows each other in their community and she's new there, hey, people speak highly of you, then obviously you're not the town bicycle. You're not the male hoe going around, are you? Right? Your reputation should precede you as a man. If you have a good reputation and you're well respected by others, and there's a good reason for that, not because you're doing anything fake, it's truly genuine, as she gets to know you, guess what? She will have a lot of respect for you. And she will, add to a good reputation. If you want to talk about flexing or showing off, the only real righteous measurement of a man who's done well for himself in terms of relationships and human connection is having a good, honorable, beautiful woman by his side that is untouchable to other men because she's loyal. That's an ultimate flex, because you can't buy love. You can't twist or force her to being there if she's a gold digger. Only a genuine woman who's choosing to be loyal to you, and she is an honorable woman, that's something to be proud of. Because that's what God wants for men and women in marriage. He wants women to have an honorable husband who's loyal. And he wants us men to have a great woman by our side. Because who wins from that? It's a good role model for society. And the children that come up in that home are going to grow up with a healthy self-esteem. And they're going to have a proper blueprint of what to look for and how to behave, because they have mum and dad doing things properly. That's the benefit here. And a godly woman, she's thinking of all this stuff. If I were to marry this guy, he's kind of handsome, but is he modest? Is he an honorable guy? What do people have to say about him? I want a guy who's humble. Women don't want to be with a guy who has a big ego. Okay, and men struggle way more with their egos and pride than women do. You want to be very careful with this one, gentlemen. Especially the young guys watching who you maybe make more money than guys your age, or you're stronger, or you're taller, or you think that you're more physically attractive. Be very careful with that. Because if you're not humble and you're not giving thanks to God, you're going to find out in bad ways how that's not right. So at the end of the day, this is the last thing a good woman's going to look for. Is he humble? So in a nutshell, the 5 qualities that make a man husband material: high moral standards, faithful, respectful, selfless in all of your dealings with her, and you are humble. And I want you to take mental notes and audit yourself as you go through the course, or if you're coming back to this, and cross-reference it even with week 5, Proverbs 31, and cross-reference the man, the woman, print both of them off, and look at, okay, I want this in a woman, this is how I have to be, what do I need to work on, what do I need to change or fix, and start changing what needs to be done now that you're single, so you can prepare ahead of time. And this is something that some of you might need as you move forward. With that said, play back the lesson as many times as you need. The documents will be linked down below in PDF file for you to print off, study, and review at your own leisure. If you have any questions, ask me on the group calls or in the community. And again, play back this as many times as you need. And remember, all the other lessons previously, to refresh yourself, I would recommend going through them. Okay? Repetition is the mother of skill. Fill in your knowledge gap. And remember, gentlemen, this is what it takes to be prepared to be a husband. Before you go about finding a wife and keeping her in your life, you need to first become the quality of man that a woman that is wife material would want to marry. It's time to become that man.